love to rant. From the heart, never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement. Money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stomping. Ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment, heaven sent.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you all are. It's Crisandro, and yeah, still trying to process it. If you've seen the original video on here or on my TikTok account, I'm still trying to process the whole news that we had last night. The picture of the guy behind me, as you know, he's no longer got any kind of pulling power at Spurs, although he's still there as a um, a shareholder, obviously. But yeah, no real pulling power. He's no longer the chairman. And to my left, as you can see, the guy who hates Chrome with a passion, it is Shubes. How you doing, man?
I gotta say, I'm still in shock really because I remember the only time I was even more shocked than this was when Poch got fired, and there was like a flurry of WhatsApps, and yesterday it was on the old on the hate fest that is Twitter, or the formerly known as Twitter, and I just saw this thing like Daniel Levy's resigned. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it, but he's resigned or been fired or whatever you want to call it. You know, he hasn't said like, oh, I'm looking to spend more time with family, blah blah blah. But I think for fans who I think are a bit younger, let's just paint the age. Actually, let's go back to 1989 actually, because there's a really good pod on this called It Was Pod, and it's done by Jonathan Wilson. And if you don't mind, Chris, I'll drive a little bit on this. So before our chairman was Alan Sugar, Lord Sugar, who people will know for The Apprentice. There's a guy called Irving Scholar, and Irving Scholar, you know, he, I think it was the Sydney Wales family or the Richardson family, I can't remember what it was. Basically, post the Bradford fire. Because if those of you who've never seen it, it truly is horrifying. I remember watching this as a kid, and for whatever reason, they've never broadcast it since on most channels. I mean, I think you can still see YouTube clips of it now, but for many years you weren't able to see it unless you watched it on YouTube, and it's horrific. Do you know what I'm saying? If you actually look at what happened, and then obviously you had Heysel back in '85, and then you had Hillsborough in '89, and I think one of the things that Scholar was, he was ahead of his time in some respects. He was like, he floated us on the London Stock Exchange, but I think when you float coming on the London Stock Exchange, you have to be absolutely clear as clear as day what the financial position of the company is, because if you're not, you are then charged with fraud, and that's how a lot of companies get people get done for that. And so you have to be in a good financial position to be on the London Stock Exchange. And one of the things that he invested in, so he invested in like an ID card system, because this is when, like, after Hillsborough and Heysel, we need to have an ID system. That ID card never happened. I don't think that ever came through, did it? Even years afterwards, we have, and that never came through. They talked about it many years, but it never came through. A lot of money put down the drain from that. There was a time that we did a knitwear of cricket. What happened to that? That did nothing. And instead of separate exactly, if you look at, say, what Chelsea have done, well, I think they've sold the women's club to themselves, playing like a bit of, I don't know what you'd want to call, I don't know, financial hide the queen or something. But essentially, they didn't put it as a separate listed company. If you have a separate listed company, what happens is, if you are going to be paid a dividend from that, first you may pay tax on it. Well, if you're a limited liability company, you're an individual company, you're on your own. You have limited liability though. If you're unlimited, that means you don't pay tax on it. Anything you pay up front. So let's say we made £1 million in profit, that wouldn't be taxed. That would go to the parent company untaxed. However, if it was a limited company, you have to pay tax on that. And then the tax dividend, whatever's left, will go up. He didn't do that. So the debts of these individual companies were draining the shit out of Tottenham. Not only that, we were coming into a recession, and Midland Bank, who are now HSBC, they were calling in their bad debts. That's what you had to do.
Yeah.
And Tottenham were on their bad debts. So essentially, we were very vulnerable. I mean, people forget that in 1990, the year before Italian 90, we finished the season before, we finished third. But that following season, we brought nobody in. We let players go. We brought no one in the door. That was a very sign. That was like, wait a minute, something's not wrong here. We had a good title charge. We're doing something well. And then I think it was Arsenal, Liverpool, and ourselves, and Palace as well. Palace fell away, then we fell away, but then we sank. We were sinking like a stone, and no one knew the sheer amount of debts we were in. So the reason I say that is that but think about Irving Scholar. If you asked him anything about Tottenham trivia, he would know it. He knew everything. He would even quiz the journalists. How much do you know about Spurs? And do you know what? I couldn't give a monkey's if Peter Charrington knows nothing about Spurs, or Venkateshwar knows nothing about Spurs, as long as he can run a business. I used to work with a guy who was a CFO, and he said to me, the thing that I cared about most was at the end of the month, could I pay the wages? Could I pay the suppliers? Could I pay the creditors? Was there enough cash in the, and that's the job of any businessman. And that's what we were failing to do. And we were very close to being like, if you just put aside those moments, Liverpool under Gillette and Hicks almost went into bankruptcy. And if they had gone to bankruptcy, as is the law, as is the rules, you get a 12-point deduction. You could get dropped down division, maybe. I don't think that would happen to Liverpool, but you never know. That is how bad we were at that stage. So huge financial mismanagement. Alan Sugar came along, very famous for now famous for The Apprentice, but back then it was the Amstrad computer companies. And then he moved into selling dishes for Sky, and that's one of the reasons why I believe Sky Sports got because they were able to up their bid. He was privy to the talks, and he called Sky and said, "Look, up your bid now. ITV will offer this much. If you offer this much, you'll get it." And he did. So guess what? Sky had their content. Everybody decided as soon as football went on Sky, everyone went out and bought Sky dishes. If you're wealthy enough, or even if you weren't, you still bought Sky dishes. And
found a way. Yep, it's always found a way.
but I remember you had to be rich to have Sky. I mean, that was like a real middle class perk at the time. Now everyone has whatever, but it was just a case of, and to be fair, he did. We went from playing matches at Cheshunt, doing our training at Cheshunt, to Spurs Lodge at Chigwell, which is now, I think it's a school, I believe, in residential apartments. And so there were changes, but we weren't doing that well. I mean, to put into context, we qualified for Europe. I don't know, when did Alan Sugar take us over? Because technically, I think you have to be a full season. Okay, so we only qualified for Europe once with Alan Sugar, and that was having won what was called the Worthington Cup. We never ever qualified through the league under Alan Sugar, not once.
Do you remember how many rounds we were in that UEFA Cup?
I believe it was 1 or 2 rounds. I think we lost to Kaiserslautern or something.
Yep, beat them at home 1-0, then lost 2-0 with 2 90-minute goals. I remember it just ingrained in my head. Genoa played in the first.
Yeah, and to his credit, Alan Sugar was starting to spend more money. He spent, was it £10 million on Sergei Rebrov to bring him in. I think that was at the end of 2001. So he brought in, I think Les Ferdinand coming 3 years before. He brought in Stefan Everson a few years before that. But so here's the thing: the first thing they did, was that was the year that I'm not going to mention his name. 601 decided to go to what was then called Highbury, and it was big hoo-ha. Apparently, he should be knighted. Trust me, if I had a sword, I better not say what I would do. But yeah. But let's just say that that's what Levy inherited, because at the end of the day, ENIC, when they took us over, we were worth £80 million when we took us over. Okay, we were worth nothing. We were basically worth £1 because we were massively in debt. We went from being massively in debt and in 10 years we were then worth 80 million pounds. Okay, which which is if you look at, so then the first thing he had to do was that he brought George Graham got sacked. We brought in Glenn Hoddle. That's what every chairman does. He thinks, oh God, I need to appease the fans. I'll bring an ex-fan favourite. Forget Dave, he's not a very good coach. Yeah, and he wasn't. I mean, Glenn Hoddle was not a good coach. He really wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He just kind of lucked out at Chelsea, and then
he lucked out at Chelsea. Managed to luck out getting the England job, and then he went to Wolves. I think he did second chances, but let's face it, he really wasn't a very good manager. He was very good as a player, and I think apparently one of the things that people talk about is that he kept trying to prove himself how good a player he was. Like, I could still play. That's how good I was. I'm like, no, your job is about managing. I don't care how good your player you were. It's about teaching players. I've always said the best coaches are not the best athletes, because these are the ones that struggle to get to a level. But anyway, so that's what they took over. And in 2001, we lost. I think Glenn first game was against Arsenal. We lost that 2-1. I think 601 got injured that game, I think. But that was
semi-final, wasn't it?
Semi-final, yeah, in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And it was just really bad. It was just really bad, and and I think in 2001 we ended up signing Gus Poyet, Teddy Sheringham, Goran Bunjevic, I can't remember, some Yugoslavian guy, Bunjevcevic, Milenko Estimovic, which he didn't last very long either. All kinds
quite liked him, actually.
Dean Richards, sadly, may rest in peace. We signed him to replace 601. But ultimately, we really struggled. And then we basically, I think, what was it? We tried to bring players. We had a huge injury crisis. What a surprise. We had a huge injury crisis then under Glenn Hoddle. Something's never changed. But one of the things they did was, he sacked Glenn Hoddle, brought back in David Pilley, goes, look, I've got to change some things. And he goes, I'm going to have a director of football. And he brought in Jack Santini, who everyone thought, oh, yeah, this guy could do all right. He's got France to qualify for, unbeaten for the Euros. And I don't know if they fired him or they didn't fire him, but at the time, you got to remember,
this was left.
I can't remember if he left France before or after, but I was thinking,
France. Okay, got yeah.
But I said, look, if you've got Zidane, Vieira, on Henri, if you're not qualifying unbeaten, right? What the hell are you doing? Do you know what I'm saying? You've got Djurkaeff, you've got you've got like
not bad defense either.
Yeah, you had Desailly, you had I forgot the kids. Oh, was it not Marcel? His son plays for Juventus now. I forgot his name now, but
Lilian Thuram.
It's Marcus Thuram who plays. But I'm just saying. But you think, okay, then, and in 2004, I think we drew against Liverpool. Things were starting to work out. Okay, we're making progress.
Draw, I remember that.
Yeah, we won a game, but we never actually went. But he played a very conservative kind of football. And then he ended up leaving or whatever. I don't think he's done any. I think he went to Lyon or Auxerre. He's done nothing since. We bring in Martignol. We didn't really do anything. That was the year of the goal that never was, the phantom goal, the very famous Roy Carroll goal at Old Trafford. The one goal that basically my mum, I remember my mum, the TV was downstairs and we're watching, Football Focus. And my mum goes to me, why did Man United get away with so much? That's all she knew. That's all she got. What did Man United? That was what it was. And then 2005, I think we signed, but we were really struggling. And then, we didn't really buy anyone. I think we bought Edgar Davids, bought Mido, but we weren't really spending the money. I mean, just remember, in January bought in Gregor Rashiak. Although I think we did sign Jermaine Jenas in that June window. But that's when things started to change a little bit. You started seeing. I remember we brought in what was it, Frank Arneson. We brought him in. He's going to change everything, and within a year he fucks off to Chelsea, and then after about 2 years they binned him off. Do you know what I mean? But we got a massive amount of compensation for him, and he brought in guys like Spaz Dilveski and oh my God, Rito Ziegler, and who else did he buy? Pedro Mendes. Sean Davis, but again, it was very scattergun. We were just wasting money, and then no Pamaro. I think we sold a whole bunch of players to Portsmouth that year because
Portsmouth, I remember that.
Yeah, and but then apart if it wasn't for a dodgy lasagna, we would have hit the Champions League. We'll never know. And but one of the things we brought in Damien Comoli because he was like, I'm gonna have a director of football. And I remember Damien Comoli at the time, he was talking about this guy called Frank Ribery. He's like, watch out for this guy. He's very, very good playing for the under 21s. And I was like, oh, are we going to link to him? Nope, didn't sign him. Well, we signed Stede Malbranc and players from France. I think we signed what was it, Didier Zakora, Benoît Cotto, because obviously he knew the French league allegedly very well, but not really. But this we're forgetting the Rivaldo letter. There's so many. But what I'm saying is, he came up with a plan. He goes, you know what? I need to start making some changes. What I'm saying is, if you look at our average position under Anna Sugar, under Anna Sugar, we went into the Premier League as one of the big five. Okay. If you look at that big five, that was Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Everton, and us. Everton are not part of the big. Can no longer be considered part of the big six. And they won
financially.
They won their last league title in 1987. Great club, a lot of respect for Everton, a lot of love for Everton. But
yeah, I don't think that's what the big six is about, though.
No, I'm just saying.
It's literally financial.
But it's a financial thing. But I'm saying these are the teams that generally tend to finish up in the Champions League places, though. Do you know what I'm saying? And that, but also a combination of over the last 15, 20 years, they've generally been in the top 4, 5, 6 places. And Everton are no longer there. So Daniel Levy does what he does. He decides, you know what, Martignol is not working out for me. I'm gonna make a dizzying offer to Juan de Ramos, because Juan de Ramos with Sevilla had done an amazing job. He'd got them an amazing job. Here's the thing, though. You know, there's a saying: success is many fathers, failure is an orphan. Yes, Ramos was a big part of that. Another big part of that was a guy called Manuel Monchi.
Yes,
and Monchi was superb at finding players who were undervalued or underrated and bringing them. One of the players he brought was Freddie Canute to Sevilla. You know, and so he brought in Ramos to work with Comoli. It didn't work out. Famously, we had. So this is how much I was really hoping that West Ham would lose against Nottingham Forest and lose to us when we played them in the opening matches, because at the time we had 2 points when we were opening, I think, 8 games. That's how bad we were. So imagine from 24 points, we only had 2 points. So he ends up firing. He ends up firing. I mean, they were taking bets on us to get relegated. That's how bad we were. He gets rid of Comoli, he gets rid of Ramos, brings in Harry Redknapp. Redknapp spends a fair bit, brings back Robbie Keane, brings up Jermaine Defoe. Because look, ultimately there is a financial pyramid, and right back in those days, Man United could come to us and say, we want these players, and we'll offer them a shitload of money, high wages, and they'll come to us, and they would. Now that's not the case. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying Liverpool decided to come in and say, "Oh, we want Mickey van der Ven. Here's 150 million." I'm not just as a small comparison. I'm not saying that wouldn't happen to replace Van Dijk, but I'm just saying it's less likely compared to back then. Do you know what I'm saying? Back then we could be easily bullied. You know, we went around the Champions League, and then it all changed. Bale emerged, like players like Modric and Bale, who under and Redknapp's tenure really became much better players. Ledley King sadly came to the end of his life. But what I'm saying is, there was the focus. There was like a semblance of a plan. We were then moving to. We decided to build a new training center. We then decided to put in plans to build a new stadium. And many years later, we have got a new training center. We have an incredible stadium. I mean, to put into context, I was talking to Chris about this yesterday. To build a stadium like that nowadays could cost you 1.2 to 1.4 billion pounds easily. Then that's budgeted, and there will be huge cost overruns. And right now, interest rates are massively high compared to what they were back then. And just point of context, I didn't realize this. Our revenues are double what they were in the season we first contended for the league title under Rich Pochettino. They're £500 million. That's match day revenue. That's Beyonce revenue. That's merchandising revenue. That's stadium. That's stadium tours. That's TV. But I'm just saying all of it. Now, now. Obviously, that's part of the changing winds. But what I'm saying is, people are celebrating Daniel Levy leaving. And look, I get it. To 2018, when we didn't sign anyone. 2012, when we didn't sign Hazard, and we got rid of Pav and Chorluka and brought in Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha. There are moments when we just didn't make the right decision. When we decided to let Baldini, we had 100 million come in from what can I call it? The bail money, and obviously selling Parker and other guys like that. I think, and then we ended up pissing up most of it. To fact, the only good player that came out of that was Christian Eriksen, and Chadley and Lemela to a certain degree. But most of those players we looked to get rid of. And Baldini's done nothing since. So I'm not saying Levy's without failure, but if you look at where we were under Anna Sugar, if you look at on the pitch, just on the pitch, and look at where we are now on the pitch, it's a world of difference. If you look at where we were facilities-wise, world of difference. I remember back in 1998, we were trying to sign. I think we tried to sign Roberto Carlos before he went to Inter Milan. Unsurprisingly, he chose Inter Milan ahead of us. What a surprise that was.
Did we really? I hadn't heard that one.
Yep, and apparently we tried to sign Frank de Boer, but unsurprisingly, he chose
I heard
Barcelona.
that one. Yeah.
Because ultimately, people will come to you because Man City figured out, oh, we can't attract players. All right, then let's offer them a shitload of money. And that's how you had Robinho turn up at Man City, thinking of probably Man United.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. We still aren't offering crazy money. And yes, it annoys me a little bit, but ultimately, this way, we brought in Xavi Simons. Okay, Xavi Simons could have gone to Chelsea, so you can imagine how much they would have offered him, just as a ballpark figure. So chances are, we've offered him either the same amount or something similar. I mean, it may not be, something around that ballpark. So I think our wages will go up. I think you'll have players renewing, saying we want more money. We think we've earned it, and hopefully they'll get them.
Well, the thing is, naturally, the wages will go up once the debt comes down. So, as we're paying off I mean, how long have we got left on the stadium debt? Is it about 10 years?
I think we have 10, 15 years. 10, 15 years. I think we refinanced the debt a few times, but
yeah, exactly. So that will come down.
Yeah, but even the thing, here's the thing, Mo. If you were to buy, if somebody wants to buy us now, the way they would buy us is they say, look, we are worth Tottenham are worth say roughly, let's say £3 billion. To buy a club, just say 3 billion. Okay.
Cool.
Now that's if you bookmark all the assets on paper, let's say they're worth £3 billion, but you have to pay something called goodwill premium. Okay. And goodwill is like, oh, we're buying the brand, this, and then you buy it. Now, what happens is, if you're a company that buys that, you're not allowed to you can have goodwill on the balance sheet, but you have to amortize. That means you have to wipe it off by 10% every year. And if something's happened, you have to give an even huger whack. So the example could be, I have no idea. You have a player like Thomas Partey and Adam Johnson at your club. Okay, guess what? That diminishes the value of the brand. So that's a huge hit. You can't goodwill. You can write down. You can't write up. And then you have to. You've got a huge amount of debt on the balance sheet. Because that's what you do. If you want to buy a company, you never use your own money. You may have a bit of your own cash, but generally you use loans and everything else because you don't want to bankrupt yourself. And how do you secure it? You secure it against the assets of the club, which would be the trading center, which would be the stadium, which would be like if you look at Barcelona, they have literally mortgaged their future revenues, the future stadium, this against
crazy.
So they're basically like they are literally. They haven't
don't
even
own
built
themselves.
the house.
Yeah.
They haven't even built the house. They haven't even built the house, and they're already saying the rent that will come in, we're going to give that away to you. That's how we're going to pay you off. So we haven't done that. And yes, Barcelona, they have won the champion. They haven't done ever since they sold Neymar. They haven't won the Champions League. Yes, they've won La Liga, I think twice now, but they are massively in debt. And even if they do everything to the new camp that they say they're going to do, they still will not be able, unless right now, the Spanish economy cannot survive. There just isn't the money for them to boost the stadium to what it needs to be. I've not been to Nou Camp. It's something I'd love to go. Chris, I know you have. I know you've been to the old Santiago Bernabeu, as in like they've redeveloped it. It's
They've
cost
redone
them
it now,
about,
yeah.
I think it's cost about what, £1 billion or something at least.
Same price as our stadiums shows.
But, and they haven't
No,
built it. They haven't rebuilt it.
No, they just renovated it. Might as well just knocked it down and started again. It would have been cheaper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, they haven't rebuilt anything. All they've done is they just refurbished it. That's what they've done. They haven't really. I think they've done. I think they've maybe increased capacity a little bit. Maybe what, 5,000 to 8,000. Not a huge
Yeah, I
amount,
think it's
is it?
around. Is that 92, 93? I think 93,000 now. I think something along those lines.
But it's not. It's not about. It's about 8,000 or 9,000 more than it was though. It was not like. It's not as if they've gone from 33,000, which it was for Tottenham,
Yeah,
to nearly
yeah.
62,000, 61,000, 62,000 a week. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just
Mm.
a huge world of difference. And you'll be judged for what you do on the pitch, because Daniel Levy, obviously, apparently he was a very good left winger, apparently, or right winger, or centre inside out. What I'm saying is, you have guys like, I'm not going to mention these shitty YouTube channels that are celebrating. Oh, we got rid of him. Yeah, fuck off. Do you know what I mean?
That's, I mean, for me, as we've kind of talked, haven't we, about I think a change would be needed because of A, B, C, and D. The fact that people are saying, I saw there was a where was it this morning? It must have been on Sky Sports. I think they were running a poll, and they were asking people, has Daniel Levy been good for the club? And I was actually genuinely shocked to see that it was yes 49%, no 51%. And I'm thinking, what are the 51% seeing that I can't see?
Oh,
Because
they're geniuses, mate. They are absolute geniuses. They're clairvoyant. They have like the eye of Thundera that gives them sight beyond sight. Superman X-ray vision. They can see better than we can. Clearly,
I got just thinking, because you and I have talked about, we could have done more here, we could have done more there, we could have done this and the other. But we started from essentially a crumb, and now we are a full orchard. It's just we need to take the next step. And that's literally what we've been talking. We need to take the next step. We acknowledge what's happened. We need to take the next step forward to become A, B, C, and D. The fact that these people are saying that we haven't even so much as tidied up the crumb, that nothing has happened in those 25 years. This is why I can't get with it. I just can't. Yeah, I mean, when I can't remember his name, but he used to stop me every time at the Coaching Horses and ask, and they're part of Time for Change. And he used to come up to me and say, are you going on this protest? Are you going on this protest? We're doing this protest here. Are you going on this protest? And sometimes, well, on one occasion I said yes, just to see what it was like. But then I think either I missed it or something happened. I was just going to see there was nothing going on the high road. But the other times I said no, because what they, not that it was disingenuous, that's the wrong word, but it was a case of they weren't accurately describing the situation at the club for the whole world to see. And I didn't want to put my face and my name to that in case I get seen and they're like, oh, you support the protest. Like, technically no, because they're not addressing my issues, if you know what I mean. And so, yeah, it's just genuinely shocking to see that, even though it's a small majority, it's still a majority of the people who voted that said that Levy had done literally nothing at the club. And that's why I couldn't support the protest, because a lot of people, I imagine, had that same kind of mindset, and I could not back that. Probably the wrong word to say I support, but for him to step down, or maybe he was pushed, we'll get into that later, for him to not be chairman now, thanks for the memories. And I did say at the time it's time to say goodbye, but I can't have the facts. I can't have the notion that was put out there that he did nothing for the club. I can't have that.
I remember when Anelka apparently was, I don't know how true this was, but Anelka was apparently being linked to Real Madrid, and Wenger asked him in French, are you saying to me, he asked him in French, can you genuinely say that I and your team have done nothing for you? And Anelka just said nothing. Look, there is a narrative against Daniel Levy. I think there are many reasons for such a narrative. I don't want to go into those now. But ultimately, look, without doubt, he was the highest paid president, chairman, whatever you want to call it, of any. He was, and ultimately, and I was saying, look, if you're the highest paid, that means you have to be the best at what you do, and that means you're delivering results. Can you say you're delivering results? On the pitch, no. Off the pitch, he was delivering results. Just to put into context, if say Tottenham are worth £3.5 billion, from the £18 million that Enoch, because people forget the job of a chairman or CEO, we can call it, his job is to maximize the value of the investment of the company. That's his job. If that means, so that's his job, to work for the shareholders. He works for the shareholders. They are the ultimate stakeholder. They can decide to hire him or fire him, as you know, or push him, or whatever you can call it. If you look at his investment year on year, that's a 50% return on investment year on year. So just to put it into context, I'm not going to do the math now, but I could if I wanted to. But it's like if you'd put in £80 in Spurs, that would be worth now £3,000. Just to put into context, £3,500.
Yeah,
that's how much your investment has gone up. Just to put into context, when I bought, I think my house has gone up. When we bought it in 1990, it was worth whatever it was. But let's just say my house hasn't gone up by that much. Do you know what I'm saying? So literally, just as in property, right? He has got up, I would say, you know, his rate of return is just 50%. No, very few traders have that kind of hit level. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
true.
I'm not saying like if he's done everything right. No, he hasn't. And look, football clubs. I remember there was this thing years ago. I think it was some guy. He was protesting against Stan Kroenke or Josh Kroenke, but he was wearing a WWE Championship belt, and then went into the Arsenal shop to buy an Arsenal kit, and he was still protesting. Could you? I'm gonna have to mute myself. 5 seconds, just 1 second.
Yep. But we've seen that at Spurs as well, haven't we? We've seen that at Spurs, the protests that included a healthy amount of Spurs shopping. So yeah, we've seen that. But no, it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting.
Sorry about that. I was sorry. What I was going to say is that if you look at, say, the investment into the club, it's not, you know, it has been self-funded. We have been pretty much self-financed. Yes, they brought in money into the club. Yes, they brought in cash injections over the years. I think in 2022 there might be another cash injection or a drawdown or something, and we've not used all of it. But in terms of, like, the best example is that if you look at the way Jack Walker supported the crap out of Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers were basically a nothing club. Blackburn Rovers literally went from being a club. They have a great history, great language club, but they went from being a club that were pretty much first division, second division,
for 70 years.
Yeah, second division. I think occasionally third division. They ended up bringing in Kenny Dalglish. She ended up bringing in, like, spending God knows how much money. It's unsurprising that they won the first division, or as it was called then. As now called the Championship. It was called the First Division back then. And they ended up getting to the Premier League. I think they were there for about 3 years, and then 2 years. They brought in Chris Sutton, spent a fortune on him, and then if Eric Cantona hadn't got himself sent off for the Kung Fu kick, who knows? They wouldn't want a title then. But essentially, that's what they were. And then that was in the era where you could basically come in, inject a lot of money into the club. That's what Matthew Harding did. Matthew Harding injected a lot of money into Chelsea. He then died. That money ran out. But then by that time, they're already committed to a level of spending. They'd, just to put an example, there was a thing called Chelsea Village. It was a hotel. It was a shopping. Is it a shopping mall? I don't know what happened to that.
Yes.
Does that still exist? Shopping mall?
I'm just trying to think of Stamford Bridge. You go into where the away fans are, and there is like is that a pub or a hotel? There is a hotel building there, and then there's straight ahead. There's a pub, I think, and then you go down to the alleyway where the away fans go into. So I don't think they really built on it as such.
But part of that, that was one of the reasons they ended up being £100 million in debt. And guess what? They lucked out. Roman Abramovich flies over. He goes, I want to basically launder my reputation and not get brought back to Russia. So what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to buy Tottenham? Nope. Their playing staff is not very, very good. It cost me a lot of money for me to get them. Because people forget Chelsea in the year that he bought them, I don't think they brought
On the
anyone,
up.
and they somehow under Ranieri, but somehow they finished top 4.
Top, I think they were fourth. Yeah,
No, they're top 4,
finished fourth.
but they bought no
Mhm.
one. This the year before that, they bought no one. 2002, they bought maybe 1 or 2 players, but very few players, and they somehow
Mm.
managed to get in the top 4. So he basically said, if I buy Arsenal, oh god, there's that Ashburton Grove, it was called then, it was now called the Emirates. That's cost me a
Mhm.
fortune. I don't want to commit to something like that. Don't really fancy buying West Ham. I'll buy Chelsea. He then bought their debt. He was worth, I think at that time, Roman Abramovich was his net worth was about £8 or £9 billion. So 100 million pounds for him was nothing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then he
Mhm.
just put loads of money in, bam. And then Chelsea ended up being a team that went from being could get in the Champions League to actually being regular in the Champions League, contending for the title within 2 years. And that's the
Mhm.
Chelsea that younger Chelsea fans know now. The
The young
ones,
people know. Yeah.
yeah, the ones that ended up winning the Champions League, the ones that ended up, winning league titles and FA Cups. But that wasn't Chelsea
Mm.
before. Chelsea, like 40 years ago, is it 50 years ago now? Chelsea were like
Mhm.
begging people to come Stamford Bridge, and Ken Bates
SOS.
bought
Yep.
them for £1
Save our club.
because they were so much in debt, and it was like I think they were
Mm.
like, I think you could see tumbleweeds there because like where the
Mm.
terraces were or the stands were because it was in such a bad
Yeah.
state of repair.
There was literally stuff growing out of the stands. Really, it was in such disrepair. They were going to be folded. That's that close to being folded up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have clubs like that, and so it can't happen nowadays. There's a Massimo Cellino who bought Leeds and he ended up buying a manager, hiring a manager every 6 months. He bought
Mm.
Brescia. Brescia, they're not the biggest Italian club, but they've always been in and around like Serie A, Serie B. They have now
Mm.
folded. They don't exist anymore.
Mm.
This was
Yeah.
a Serie A club that now no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that it can't happen, it can happen. We've seen it. What was it? Was it not? But was it Burnley? Obviously, Burnley are nowhere near the same size as us or anything.
You
But
mean Berry?
Bury.
Mm.
They've gone down. They no longer exist. All I'm saying is, I'm not
Yeah,
doing.
a Phoenix Club is in their place now.
Yeah, I'm saying, you've got Wimbledon or the original, who now shifted and went to Milton Keynes, which is about
Mm.
150 miles from where they were originally from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, Daniel Levy was the. This is the thing that annoyed me about Daniel Levy. He said, "Oh, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan." No fan
This is
would
where we're
move.
going to have some contention. But carry on. I know exactly what you're going to say, but this is what we're going to have some contention.
No fan said no fan would move us to Stratford. Now, personally, I don't think he was ever moving us to Stratford either. But
Oh, you changed your tune.
no, I don't think he's ever going to. I don't know. You couldn't mean down. You couldn't. If they, you, let me put it this way. Apparently, he got death threats. Okay, he got serious death
Mm.
threats.
Yeah.
That was now. So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, could you imagine the shit that would happen to him and his family if we ended up moving to Stratford? Do you know what I'm saying? You know,
Okay, so here we go. Why do you think he pledged to buy that stadium in Stratford?
because he wanted to get some better deals from concessions from I don't know, Haringey Council, TFL. Because right now, if you look at the state, one of the things that people forget, who remembers the London Docklands Arena? Do you remember the London Docklands Arena? Do you remember
Just
it?
about. Mm-hmm.
Docklands Arena is where like, WWF used to go to when they first came to this country, before they went to Wembley. One of the reasons Docklands Arena failed was because it was impossible to get there unless you drove.
No transport. Yeah.
There was no transport links. So he was Daniel Levy. I don't know if he was, but he was trying to get concessions, saying like, look, that annoys the shit out of me. Haringey is one of London's poorest boroughs, and he was trying to basically finagle out of not paying what you have to pay to the council.
Transport upgrades. Yeah. The tax.
Yeah. So that annoyed the shit out of me, and the fact that there are a whole bunch of like homes that should be social housing, which will not be social housing now. which makes the club a lot more money, but that doesn't help people in the area because, what scares me is that London. I don't know if you've seen this clip. It's called the banana, and it's basically that it says like if you look at the nice parts of London, north and south, they're a banana shape. Okay, starting from like Boreham Wood, going to I'd say Kingston. There's that weird like kind of curve. Okay, and that's where the nice trendy places are, the gentrified places, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now Tottenham's not a part of that for obvious reasons. Why would it be? But if you've got the transport links to be incredible, all right, you already saw 60,000 people, or was 80,000 people turn up for Beyonce. Imagine if he turned that into the O2 of the North. You could just, that's why I say I've said that for years. He'd been trying to turn that into the O2 of North London. If you get the transport links there, correct, because like you have huge. I mean, if you think about it, Wembley gets huge concerts, rightly so. Wembley is a pain in the ass to get to. It is.
Yeah.
But they still got loads of really good events. Because you try and get out of Wembley after an event. Try and get out. You have to wait there.
I was going to say it's easy to get to Wembley. It's just a case of getting out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to get out of Wembley. That's what I'm saying because it's easy to get there. Try getting out. It's a nightmare, and that's what a lot of people don't like. That's why I hated when we used to go to Wembley because you'd have to wait for apps. It'd take at least half an hour to get out to get to the whatchamacallit, the station. Yeah,
or if you blocks and queues.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want the station being overwhelmed. Quite rightly so. What I'm saying is, I mean, I think I was at the game for Bournemouth game. Apparently, like Seven Sisters were like there was a fire drill or something. They were told to get out, and it's a nightmare to get out of Tottenham. I mean, I remember telling these people, I said, "Do you know what? You get to Euston." I was like, "Oh, dude, just go to Finsbury Park, and then take the train to Euston." No, we'll go to Leicester Square and get the Northern Line. I'm like, dude, I live here. Who do you reckon knows more about getting around? And I was like, fuck it, dude. You do whatever the fuck you want, mate. I am not gonna. You know what I'm saying, you do what you do, you buddy. Do you know what I mean? You do you.
Maybe just he was traveling.
But what I'm trying to say is, the area itself, okay, needs massive regeneration, and it hasn't happened. If you look at Tottenham Hale, for those of you who don't know, that's what I'm going to go into in about an hour's time. There's a whole bunch of very fancy flats, 2, 3, 4 bedroom flats. One of the reasons that they're there is that Tottenham Hale has a very fast train which goes into Liverpool Street. You can be from Tottenham Hale into Liverpool Street, which is just the heart for those international listeners. It's the heart of our financial district within half an hour, or you could be at King's Cross within 15 minutes, and then all the train lines that can take you wherever you want to go to. You got Eurostar. So, but all those homes are not for people that live in the area. They're being priced out. Okay, and that's but that's what What I'm trying to say is, what the stadium is a part of that. The stadium is a huge part of that. To have like a massive international venue that has the concerts, that has the events. Apparently, there's going to be a hotel. I don't know if the hotel will be built. I don't know how the hotel's being built right now. But I don't. Apparently, it's going to block the view. So it's going to block the view of something.
It's going to be It's going to be towards the south stand, isn't it? I think where they've kind of blocked up the stairs. That's where it's going to be built. So I'm not quite sure. Oh, I suppose it will literally just stop the light from coming in. The big atrium area where the south stand is. It looks beautiful, right?
Yeah, that's going.
Yeah, say that's going to be like the light won't get into that. It's just going to be nice and dark.
I'm sure they'll find a way to like come around it, like put loads of lights in there and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, though, that apparently he's not involved with the hotel. He's not involved with the building project of the hotel. Apparently, Daniel Levy.
That'll be his baby.
Apparently, he chose the handles on the doors of the toilets. Okay.
Yeah, to every minutiae. Yeah.
Now, people say the devil is in the details. Christopher, have you heard of the brown M&M rule? Have you heard of that?
The what emerald?
The brown M&M rule. Have you heard of that?
No.
So there was a band. I forgot the name of the band now. It's going to drive me nuts now. But They used to have this thing that when you brought this band in to play at your concert, play at your stadium, in their bowl of it, they'd want a bowl of M&Ms, peanuts, and there could be no brown M&Ms in there. And if they saw there were brown M&Ms, they could decide that's it. We're not doing the concert. We're keeping the money, keeping the deposit. We're not doing the concert. We're fucking off. Okay.
I see. Okay.
Now you think that's just being a rock star indulgence? True, it may be, but it was their way of knowing that if they had read that bit of the contract, that means they'd read every single other bit of the contract. Okay. What I'm saying is attention to detail is absolutely vital. Okay. It's why that if you remember in the Bond film, was it the guys, the company owns the country loses the right to its own water because they've privatized it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's going to cost them more to have access to their own water because they didn't read the fine print. Yes, Daniel Levy is, look, he has a stake in this. He has his family owns 30% of Tottenham. So the more he can save Tottenham now, the more he will generate for Tottenham in the future when it comes to sell, dividends, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yep.
So I get that. But ultimately, I haven't got if you're selling your house, okay, and some guy goes, oh, okay, I see it's listed at 500,000. Oh, okay, I'll give you 300,000 for it. You're like, fuck off. My house is worth 600,000. Similarly, if you're going to buy a house, you'll be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I know that house is going for 400,000, but 350. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do. If you're buying something, you want to get it for the cheapest amount possible. If you're selling something, you want to get it for the most amount possible. Name one human being that wouldn't do that.
I was going to say evangelicals, but no, they're the weird set. So who knows?
and they've already sold their immortal soul to Donald Trump anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
But you see the point I'm trying to make there, Christopher. I'm just saying that it shocks me that people think that. I mean, look, is he Marmite? Yes, I happen to like Marmite, but that's by the by. But what I'm saying is, he is someone that has positively done things for our club. He's got a lot of things wrong. 2012, 2018, 2013, 2021, when we fired Mourinho before the League Cup final, the 2 games before the League Cup final. Conte, he's got a history. This is the history of the club. He's always a why not the manager? Well, do you know what? We've changed. To be fair, Conte. I know Conte. Give him his credit. He took over a club that was mid-table, languishing, and he got us into the 4th spot. And combination of Paratici, finally using his contacts and getting him good players in. Now, if he can get good players in at clubs he didn't used to bloody manage, as in like Juventus, then I'll be like, yeah. And I think with Pape Sarr, he's done that. With Pape Sarr, he's done that. But apart from that, he hasn't really done that many, you know what I'm saying? Pape Sarr, Romero, Kulusevski, and Bentancur. Can you name any successes? And Richarlison, probably. Richarlison, was that under? Yeah, that would have been under. That would have been under.
That was. Yeah, that was Paratici, yeah.
Yeah, but I think most people knew that Richarlison was a decent player, so it wasn't a case of like any rocket science. You know what I'm saying? Basuma, again, we all knew he was a good player, whether he could go on to the next level. But ultimately, I don't think, ultimately Levy trusted the right people or the wrong people. When Donna Marie Cullen was gone, that's when you knew something's changing here at the club. You could tell that something was changing. And now Levy, the fact that Daniel Levy's gone, look, ultimately, I hope Vinay, because the thing is, do you remember, like, is it Coventry? They couldn't pay at the Ryco for ages because apparently they sold the club.
They were locked out. Yeah,
they sold the club to a private consortium, and then they got the money back, and they fucked up the money, and then they couldn't pay the rent. So they said, "Look, no, you're not coming in here. You can't pay the rent. Fuck off." Now I think things got sorted, but do you see what I'm saying? That's how people forget that, and that was like 10 years, 8 or 9 years ago. That is the levels of stupid mismanagement we have in football. We have, was it the guy that owned Leighton Orient? I forgot his Benedetti or something. He tried to
Mhm.
basically he bought Leyton Orient and then tried to basically his other companies. He tried to transfer the losses from his other companies to Leyton Orient and then let them just sink without a stone.
Yeah, I mean that sort of stuff is kind of rife in the lower leagues because there's no fit and proper
Well, no,
what do you
there's
call
a fit and
it?
proper test. There's meant to be a
It's
fit and
supposed
proper
to
test.
be, but
It's supposed to be. That
yeah,
still does some bloody work.
no,
What I'm
I
saying
just
is,
think about the likes of Portsmouth and stuff like that. You know, it really doesn't
yeah,
work.
it really has. Look at Portsmouth. I mean, like, what was it? That guy who bought Portsmouth. I think he tried to buy some
A
other
fake
club or
shake.
something. No, he tried to buy Man
Yeah.
United at some stage or something like that.
Oh, Man City. You mean that was the
Man
Moldovan
City.
guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Man
Mm,
City. And apparently he was the front man. Apparently he had no money at all.
yeah.
He
None.
bought Portsmouth from is it Mandarich. Turns out he had
Mm,
no money,
mm.
and it was just Mandarich was pumping a shitload of money into Portsmouth and then obviously into Leicester before he sold it to the Thai family, the King Power
The
guys.
ties. Yeah. Those are the Venkies. Blackburn.
Yeah. But you know what I'm
But,
talking about.
yeah, the ones that own Carabao.
Yeah. But I'm saying is that ultimately you have incredible amounts of football mismanagement. You have huge
Mm,
amounts of it. And the
mm,
one thing is, like if you look at Newcastle were massively in debt. Under even before I think even when Mike Ashley bought them from Freddie Shepherd and Sir John Hall, they were
mm,
massively in debt. And he ended up
yeah.
buying some of the debt. But he goes, look, I am worth a lot of money, but even I can't put that much money into the club. And even Roman
Yeah.
Abramovich said, like, do you know what? Once Man City and Qatar, PSG bought by Qatar, he goes, no, we need to
Mm,
have financial fair play. We need to have PSR because
mm,
I'm wealthy, but I can't compete with the wealth of a nation.
mm,
And then you got guys like Villa who are pissed they can't spend like crazy. You've got Alan Shearer who's pissed his beloved Newcastle can't spend like crazy. Well, look,
mm,
if you want teams to spend like crazy, look at the PGA Golf. Okay, you have PGA Golf who's now been wrecked because of Live Golf because Saudi said, do you know
mm,
what? We want PGA Golf and we will spend shitloads of money to get it.
mm-hmm.
Thankfully, there's PSR that stops people like the Saudis spending unlimited amounts of money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, because if they start spending stupid amount of money, that forces everyone else to spend stupid amount of money, and then the whole thing collapses.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
look,
The
have I been frustrated by FFP? Yes, so many times. But finally, FFP's got teeth, mainly because Real Madrid used to be the team that used to spend world record amounts of money on play on. So they signed Figo for a world record amount. They signed Ronaldo for a world record amount. They signed Bale for a world record amount.
mm,
But now they don't do that anymore. Now they just look to tap up players to not sign the last 6 months of their contract last year and say, look, we like the look of you. Don't sign. We'll do a pre-contract. Just avoid getting injured and we'll sign you. Yeah, and
yeah.
that's what they do. And because they figured out they can't compete with, because look at Barcelona. They spent, what was it? After they spent after they got 200 million for Neymar, 190 million, was it?
Mm,
Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, and who's the other guy? Shit. Coutinho. They spent
yeah.
nearly $500 million on all on three players. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
None of whom worked out, which is
No.
the reason why they're in because what was so good about Barcelona? Yes, they paid their players a whole bunch of money because Messi was obviously running ridiculous amounts of money, and so was Xavi and Iniesta. But they all came through La
Mm,
Masia. Yes, they would buy players. Obviously, they would buy obviously I think they bought the original Ronaldo for like 14 million and sold him
mm,
swiftly on to Inter Milan because they offered him a
mm-hmm.
stupid amount of money to buy him. But even
Mm.
then, guys like Yaya Toure, Saidou Keita, I forgot, is it Eric Abidal? They bought.
Eric
They would they
Abidal, yes.
they would sign players. They bought Christian Poulsen. They brought Mark Overmars. They bought Manuel Petit. They would spend money, but they wouldn't
Mm,
spend like eye-watering amounts of money on buying players like the way that Man City used. Actually, Man City never have. Actually, funnily enough, Man City never spent. They pay money on wages, but it's never. They never spend them. I mean, apart from Jack Grealish, they've never really gone like stupid amount of money on players, have they? They pay a lot of
no.
They pay wages, but yeah, Christopher. Oh, so yeah, just gotta.
It's collapsing, is it?
No.
Yeah, but yeah, but it's kind of true though. So I'm just kind of thinking, what do you how do I word it? Now that it's all kind of official. I mean, we still don't know whether he went or was pushed. I mean, we just got news from I think a couple of newspapers saying
Would it
that
even matter? Would it even matter if we knew though? Would it even matter if we knew?
sort of because and I suppose in a way it doesn't, but it just kind of like lends to the mindset of of the direction this club is kind of going now. Basically, Levy was not aware of the axe coming down until like 2 hours before the news went out. So
Well,
I guess that
now
shows
he
the
knows.
ruthlessness.
Now he
Yeah,
knows
he's
what
kind of done
not
it in
being
the
the
past,
for.
hasn't he? Yeah,
Well, no, it's like
and yeah,
yeah,
and a
fuck
few
around,
others.
find out. Yeah, so
Hmm.
it's not exactly. It's not as if look, he apparently didn't know about it. It's very, very sudden. Apparently they wanted to give him, time and let him leave some dignity, as much dignity as
Hmm.
you can leave when that happens.
Hmm.
But no, I mean, at the end of the day, he had no trouble firing. Whatchamacallit, Poch. After all, Poch did. He had no trouble firing Jose Mourinho. Literally, what, a season before? A
6 days
game
before a
before.
final. Yeah.
Yeah, that was whatever, about a week before a final. So do you know what you live
Hmm.
by? If you chop other people, what if you use a sword against other people? Guess what? Do not be shocked if that sword comes back to chop your head off as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
So, and I guess yeah, I guess we'll round it up in a few minutes. But I just want to get your thoughts on this one. Our new chairman, non-executive, so he doesn't really have those kind of powers outside of the boardroom, as it were. Peter Charrington looks like his history is in banking. He was at Citibank, as you mentioned earlier. He hasn't got a football background. I don't even know if he's a Spurs fan. We know that Levy was a Spurs fan.
Does it matter? I mean, like, are the people
Well,
are FSG Spurs, are FSG Liverpool fans?
no, I think my point was that would it help to have someone who's a bit not standoffish, but hasn't got the emotional links to the club? Do you think he'll make the right decisions for the club, by the club?
Well,
Especially if he's not.
ultimately,
I don't even know if he's a football fan or not, but because he hasn't got any links to football. But
it's just, do you know what it is, right? It's allowing people to trust them to do their job. Okay, I've said this before. Michael Eisner was very good, had a lot of successes. He was head of Paramount, and that's why Disney brought him in. And to be fair, he did a lot of good job. Part of the Disney Renaissance happened under his watch, and he can take credit for it. Now, obviously, he would like to take all the credit for it, but that's the way that's the way it works. But ultimately, I want someone in there that knows his job. So if you've got a football person in, like, say like a youth academy person, okay, you have the right person in the job. If it's merchandising, it's the right person in the job. If it's distribution, you have the right person in the job. If it's acquisitions, if it's marketing, you have the right people in the job. The job of the chairman, the chairman has to run the board, okay, and within those boards you have divisional heads that report into the board, that report on their performance. His job is to scrutinize the director of sales, the director of purchases, director of this, whatever, to make sure to say, look, what do you need ahead? Okay. Now, I would not. I'm hoping that I don't hear the name Vinko Venkatesham ever again. Not as a nasty way. It's just more a case of he's like, do you know what? The end of next year, like at the end of this season, thank you for being part of this journey. But it's wonderful that we've won the Champions League and Premier League double. We're the first London club to do that. That's what I want to see. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to see or hear him until it's the end of the season notes. Do you know what I'm saying? On the matchday program. I don't want to know his name. I don't, because he should be in the background. I shouldn't know what he does. Just to point to context, apart from, say, was it Todd Bowley, Evangelos Marinakis, who's the guy at is it, oh god, Man United, Jim Radcliffe, but he's not the majority owner.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying, and maybe Sheikh Khaldun. What I'm saying is, how was it? I think I can't remember who the FSG guy owner, the FSG owner. I know he owns
Yeah. What's
you
his
but you
name?
don't often see him at Liverpool matches. You'll see like the head of
No.
you'll see the MD at Liverpool. You won't see him there. The
Mm.
Brighton, the head of Brighton, I think is it Paul. He actually was a Spurs. I
J.W.
think.
Henry.
John W. Henry. The
Mm.
guy who runs Brighton that used to be involved with Spurs, Paul Barber. You'll see him, but
Yes.
apart from Brighton fans, no one else should really know who he is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Brentford's owner, I don't know who that is, and
True.
I shouldn't know.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
do I know? See, I'm gonna end up saying something that will get me banned, but I know the West Ham owners used to be.
Of course. Yeah. Well.
I'm not. I'm
Was
not gonna. I'm not gonna.
hey, but
This could go wrong in so many bad ways. But I know
let's
who they
just say
used to be.
there's his way around some tools, and that will never leave you.
Okay, and I'm saying, but we know we know Karen Brady is right. Okay, we know she is right.
I said
But
there's Pescasolino. Anyway, ignore that bit. Carry on.
but I'm saying is, but what I'm saying is, okay. I'm trying to think. Man City, you know Sheikh Khaldun is, but you don't know who else is. You may know Farron. I mean, I may know who, like, was it Omar Baradi or something? Or no, he went to Man United or something. What I'm saying is the top clubs, you don't know who their chairmans really are. You don't know who the CEOs are. You never hear their names. How many times have you heard the name John Henry in association with Liverpool? Very few times.
Only from Liverpool fans, but yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't know his name. You know,
Mm.
we know it's Amanda Staveley because she was a front woman, but we shouldn't know
Mm.
anyone else really at the club at Newcastle United, and
Mm.
we don't because they haven't got a director of football. But do you know what I'm saying though?
Mm.
What I'm saying is, we know Paratici is and those kind of guys, but
Mm.
we really shouldn't because if you're doing a good job, I shouldn't know who your name is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Very
the only
true.
person whose name I should know is the manager and the players, and that's it. And so I'm hoping that because the funny thing is, Charrington Breweries used to own us, used to own the
Yeah.
ground, but that became White Hart Lane. I think they
It's
still
come
exist
full
actually.
circle, hasn't it?
Which
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's linked to that Charrington
You
pubs or
never know.
something. But what I'm saying is, ultimately, hopefully, we're making right decisions on the pitch and off the pitch. And come January, it'll be interesting to see
No
what
longer
happens. Actually.
exists.
What January?
Charrington Brewery.
Charrington
Yeah.
Brewery, it's folded. Oh, you looked it up. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I had to because I just want to know.
But I'm saying, I'm saying is, come January, we will hope we may see something different. I doubt it, just because clubs have to bring in players. But who knows? Maybe we'll say, do you know what? We scouted players in December. We spoke to the manager and said, you know what? We want to bring these people in for you in January. Okay,
Mm.
and that gives them that gives clubs a month to bring in other players.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, we did that with Kudus. You know, I'm so glad we have a Ghanaian player. I was really hoping we get some Menu as well. I hope we get
Get to your point.
I hope we can get a Senegalese player. And oh shit, I can't think of any other country, but I will think of one in time. But
If we did get Lookman over during the window, then
that's it. You'd have been like, I was hoping for you to. I was actually hoping for Chris to come up with some anti-Igbo stuff, but he goes, look, that can set off like worst civil war in Nigeria. So let's not be doing that kind of shit. But yeah, that's a dig at Eze. But what I'm saying is, but who knows? Maybe we'll look at Lookman. Maybe we'll look at. What I'm saying is, come January, I'm hoping we are starting doing things differently. That we get players in much earlier. We tried to do that before. It didn't work out. We brought in like, is it not Tanya Ndombele pre-season? Didn't really work out. And let's face it, people forget his first year under Glenn Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle came in, decided Rebrov is not my player, and we lost him for nothing. So imagine you spent £80 million on buying an organisation. One of the prize assets who you're hoping to be able to sell for 20 million in 15, 20 million, or at least 10, 15 million down the line, you have to sell for nothing. So I think that forever informed his view of football. And that's what made him be very glass half empty, very risk averse. I'm not saying maybe he wasn't, maybe he was, always risk averse. But I think that really, if he wasn't risk averse then, he was definitely risk averse afterwards. Now people say, "Oh, let's dare, let's do." Well, look, Scholar, he dared. He dared have a shitload
Yeah.
of businesses that fucking almost sunk the club.
Almost broke us. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just saying is, if we're gonna dare, let's dare, but let's just make sure, like,
Yeah,
people
with a bit of
forget, like,
brains, you know.
do the brains. Look at ITV Digital. ITV Digital
Mm.
went into administration. All the championship clubs tried to sue ITV for the money,
Mm.
and they said, no, your deal isn't with us. We own
It's
ITV
with digital.
Digital, but that's an independent subsidiary. They're
Yeah.
part of our. Your deal's with them, not with us.
Mm.
You know, if we choose to let that thing go down the Swanee, you can't. Now obviously that's what affected a lot of championship clubs back in the day because they budgeted for all this money, which they didn't get.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
think about it. If a company like ITV, okay, who still exist to this day, can basically who 10 years ago were trying to buy like get the Premier League rights footballs and then didn't get it, could then say to a whole bunch of clubs, well, do you know what? The money we promised you, nah, fuck it, you're not getting it. And that's
Mm.
a lot of people do that. Donald Trump is famous for saying, oh, I owe you 100,000, take 30,000 or fuck off. Sue me in court, you'll barely
Yeah.
get 40,000 for 40,000. And
Mm.
that's why Donald Trump sucked at business. Because you can only do that so many times before people think, nope,
Yeah.
I'm not dealing in the business with you. And I think what happened with Levy, he got a reputation that basically people did, look at what Parish did to him. Maybe Parish knew, apparently they pulled out the last minute for Eze. They pulled out the last minute for Man of Solomon. Well, guess what? Whoever comes in, whoever our new negotiator is now, I'm hoping is someone like Venkatesh says, look, this is your money, this is your wage budget, this is your players budget. You have to hit these amount of things so we can do this. Work out the calculations. If our CFO says, yeah, we can do this, you go to them and say, look, this is how much we're offering. Okay. And that's what negotiations about. They say, okay, well, do you know what? It's kind of like, I can't think. Kevin De Bruyne, he went for was it 49 million pounds to Man City in 2015, right? Something like that. I think Raheem Sterling went for the same amount as well, didn't he? Roughly similar amount. I think even more. Yeah, no. I think he went for more. Now, Raheem Sterling actually cost more than Kevin De Bruyne. Now, who do you think was better value, Kevin De Bruyne or Raheem Sterling for Man City?
The fact that Sterling left before De Bruyne shows.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Now they made their money back. They managed to sell him to Chelsea for I think 25 million, and he's now in their bomb squad. How many players apart from Basuma are in our bomb squad?
Well, people that we can't sell on, you mean?
Yeah, so like basically, but even then, he's only there for a year max. We've only had that happen. I think 3 times I can think of. I could think of 3 players who we ended up. No, 4 players. I think Reguilon, Aurelio Gomez, and Lucas Moura. We weren't able to shift and get some money back on, and then they end up leaving us on a free. Because generally, and obviously, famously, Judas did. But do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I hear you. I do hear you. So I guess it was just a case of seeing how this new kind of backroom stuff, they all kind of prioritize the players that we have and the ones that we are going to keep, that they make sure that we keep, and the ones that we are going to get rid of, we do it. I mean, we kind of seen already this summer how want to get rid of Basuma, but nobody was really taking him. So
well, no, I mean,
yeah,
and again,
it'd be intriguing.
But look, the Turkish league's still open. I think other leagues, Saudi Pro League may still be open. Somebody will hope to say, look, because I think with Solo, I think we're paying his wages at Villarreal. I think apparently we're paying a big chunk of his wages because Villarreal, although they are in La Liga, they can't afford the wages that we pay. So that's
hopefully because hopefully we've done a deal then where there's like an obligation to buy them in that case. I guess we
or
shall
something
see.
like that. But I'm just saying that. Just I'm saying
Mm.
that. What I'm saying is, I've been pissed at Levy, Super League, this many things, and I can think of many things he's done to piss me off. Okay, there's loads of things I can think of that's done to piss me off, but I can think of many things he's done right as well.
Mm.
And for that,
Yeah.
I give him a pass. And for that, because I remember we were a joke of a club prior for the 15 years when I became really into my fandom under Sugar, we were a joke of a club. For the first 5
I'm
years
sure.
under Levy, we were a joke of a club. But
Mm.
then Martignol, yes, and then Harry Redknapp, then Maurizio Pochettino. They,
Mm.
and if you think about it, those are the managers he had faith in until suddenly he got kind of spooked. He kind of, do you know what I mean? He lost his nerve. Hopefully, with Thomas Frank, he'll be there for a long time, and
Mm.
we'll have, hopefully. I said, hopefully, I think the era of having a manager for like 25 years, like Alex Ferguson, 20, 30 years was it Alex Ferguson or something like that, 20
Mm.
odd years, Arsene Wenger. I don't think we'll see that. I don't think we'll see that kind of thing anymore. But if we can have a
No.
manager for like 4 or 5 years, if you think about it, who are the most successful managers in English football recently? Liverpool and Man City,
Mm.
and they've had the managers in for a long time. Apart obviously, Klopp resigned,
Apart
but
from
just what I'm
Liverpool
saying.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm saying, and it'll be interesting to see
Mm.
how Klopp, how Man City do when, if and then Pep does move on. I mean, look at say because and they look even like Atletico, they're talking about Simeone going, but unfortunately,
Simeone.
guys,
Yeah. But he's
unfortunately,
been
guys,
there for
I
what,
have to
13 years or something?
14 years, and all he's got is
Mm.
one or two league titles. So
Yeah.
yeah, but look, guys,
Numerous finals though, so similar to us.
yeah, I just want to give big thanks to Christopher for the incredible amount of work he does for the channel. I don't do anywhere near as much. I want to thank Angela, and I forgot who else came on. What's her name?
We had
Who else?
Ryan on here as well,
Yeah, and
and
Billy, for the stuff he does,
mm,
and Mike. So yeah, just a big appreciation. I'm gonna have to shoot off now. Unfortunately, I've got a real rush off. But yep,
mm.
you guys will not be able to find me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook unless Chris really hates my guts and shares my details. But yeah,
But everyone just come onto our Facebook page, the Tottenham Supplements. Just join on there. We have discussions all day, every day, and looking to try and grow that page again after the old one got shut down. So join us on that, and you'll be able to chat to us on there. But yeah, no, interesting discussion, and thanks for joining, Shubes. It's always good to have you. And yeah, I guess we shall see what happens, with this new with Peter Charrington and the new guys in charge. But thanks to everyone who tuned in. Thanks to everyone watching on both Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And yeah, well, we shall see what happens. Thanks for watching. Come on, your
ciao, ciao for
Spurs.
now. Ciao, ciao for now.